Excellent. Okay, boom. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this evening. We have a magnificent guest with us tonight, one who is going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration, and that is none other than the People's Midwife. She is a great member of the community, a woman who is world renowned in her right and has the East Coast going crazy with so many recommendations. People have been texting me about her since the beginning of me doing the People's Podcast as a guest suggestion, and that is none other than Sister Asasiya Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, ma'am.
Walaikum salam. I did not know that.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
It's
Yes, ma'am.
great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on and taking time out of your busy schedule. The first question that we have for you, ma'am, is how did you know that you wanted to be a midwife?
That's a great question. I would say that it's been a journey that started when I was about 11. That it started with my faith at the time, and I always wanted to be a champion of justice. Like from the time I was 11 years old, I came up in the Baha'i faith, and that was one thing that was taught to us is that, as young people, we need to be champions of justice. And so it was like kind of my life path. And I wanted to first be a lawyer, actually. And then I felt like no matter how far I went in the human experience, I couldn't really capture the starting point for where most of our issues are. And I was like, well, if we can get to the gestational period or like the bond between the mother and the baby and how that develops, and then even being inspired from the Bible, like the story of Mary and Jesus, like what would it take to produce a savior for the people, right? I didn't come to that till like I had my own birth experience and then just like meditating on it and praying on it. And that's kind of what led me there is my passion for justice and wanting to see a savior for Black people like continue to be produced among the people.
Okay, well, go ahead, Sister Minister Asasiya. You teaching, you breaking it down. Now, okay, let's stay right here. So when you say that there's first of all, you said the first faith that you were a part of. Could you let us know what that is?
Yeah, I was part of the Baha'i faith. It's an extension of Islam, but it's not a sect of Islam. So it came out of the Islamic tradition in Persia or Iran, modern day Iran in
Hmm.
1844, and it was more of like a different way of how to see your relationship with God, like your personal relationship with God. But
Okay.
the main tenets were like the oneness of God, the oneness of humanity, justice, equality, that kind of thing. So
Beautiful.
it's
Yes.
kind of like hippie Islam.
Okay, okay. I like the
Yeah.
way you explain that. Now, Walaikum Salam, Sister Naima, and thank you to everybody who's watching all around the world. People are sending you snaps and love, all the women and stuff in the comments. Sisters, lighten it up. All right. I wanted to ask you, so when did you first hear the teachings of the Most High Elijah Muhammad? Or
Well,
accept?
yeah, my father was the one who introduced me to the Baha'i faith, and I just always remember seeing Minister Farrakhan like back then it was like the 90s, the early 90s.
Okay, okay.
I went to the Million Family March, and so I was just always exposed, but I didn't actually join the Nation of Islam until a little bit later. Like I went through the
Okay.
Nation of Gods and Earths, and I did different things.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, but the minister has inspired me deeply throughout that time. Yeah.
Praise be to Allah. Now we're gonna be coming back. We got so many questions for you, but let's stay with the nations of gods and earth. How was your experience with them?
I feel like it was more of like how do you say like a friend of the Nation of Gods and Earth. So like I studied the 120 and then later would find out that the 120 was the same 120 in the Nation of
Yes,
Islam.
ma'am.
And it really it so the Baha'i faith I felt like even though it was about the oneness of humanity, it still leaned a little Eurocentric. Euro not
Okay.
meaning European centric, but white centric. It was about like the white people's experience and trying to connect them better with humanity, with all due respect. But I felt like the Nation of Gods and Earths was like my first introduction into like knowledge of self, like who you are, your identity as the original people, and our identity as the original people and our role in that.
Wonderful. All right. Yes, ma'am. So now, I can't wait for you to explain. You got so much to explain from. Can we have your social media?
Yeah, my Instagram is at the People's Midwife and TikTok. I think it's probably the same thing. I'm not really that active on TikTok. I'm more of a voyeur on TikTok. So I'm mostly active on Instagram.
Wonderful. Yes, ma'am. And okay, so let's stay right here. So once you, what was your first experience like being a midwife?
My first experience being a midwife, an actual midwife, like the yeah.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
I went to a high volume birth center slash school on the border of El Paso and Juarez, Mexico. That's where I
Okay.
did my training. And all of my training was actually in Spanish. Not the didactic part, not the academic part, but the like one-on-one care was in Spanish. So that was my first entry into midwifery was serving Mexican women who are crossing the border to be able to have their babies in Texas.
Mhm.
Um, and so it was really interesting. I would say, like, if I were to encapsulate that experience as my first entry into midwifery, was that women all across the globe share the same emotions and fears and desires to be respected and seen and heard during childbirth. And so, even though I couldn't understand everything, I became very attuned to body language. And so, I feel like that's where a lot of my strength lies in midwifery is kind of tuning myself to how people feel beyond what they say. And when you're pregnant, when you're in labor, a lot of things you don't feel at liberty to say. Like you might be ashamed, you might feel nervous. And so it's really important that, we as midwives stay in tune with women in that way.
Excellent. Wonderful. Now I want to ask you, based off your Instagram, there, could you let us know what is the tub going on? Why women are on all fours? Should women stand up? Can you explain it to us why, like your technique and what is the best? Is it the technique off of each woman, or is you stick to the same form?
Yeah, you said it right. It all depends on the women. Like some people think they have to have a water birth,
Okay.
and that's not necessarily my preference.
Okay.
But
Okay.
it's
Okay.
it's great for like comfort, like it takes the weight off of your back, like the gravity off your back. So as a baby is moving through your pelvis, obviously that's a lot of pressure in your lower back. So the water can relieve that pressure. Some don't feel so good pushing in the water because they can't get their bearings. Like sometimes they just need to like bear down on land. But some people find it to be more peaceful. All fours, any gravity supporting position. So all fours. The birth stool is a personal favorite of mine because I feel like it just drops the baby into the pelvis so you don't have to push as.
Yes, ma'am. What is the birth stool?
Oh, the birth stools can be different, but mine I assembled there. It's like I have the seat itself and then I add the legs to it. So it's like
Okay.
a low, it's like this, literally like this, and then they sit on it and it sits very low to the floor. So their feet are planted and they're like in a deep squat. And so when
And
they're pushing,
you
it just,
go and
sorry?
you're under there. How what is your position?
I'm sitting in front of them. So if this is the birth stool, I'm here. So I'm slightly lower than their legs.
Okay.
And I usually put a mirror under here so that I can see what's happening. And a lot of times, sometimes people end up pushing, but sometimes I end up using that birth stool as a way to just encourage the baby to come down further so that if they have to go to another position like side lying or reclined, the baby is deep enough so they don't have to push as hard or as forcefully.
Wonderful. Yes, ma'am. Now I want to ask you, who do you recommend or suggest based off the spirit, the energy should be in the room when this is taking place?
Oh, what a beautiful question. The correct answer is whoever the mom wants to be there, right? But I find that definitely the partner is almost always welcomed.
Okay.
And I've
Okay.
never been to a birth where someone said they didn't want their partner there. And a lot of times that's who they want the most because the same thing that put the baby there is the same thing that gets the baby out, and that's called oxytocin. It's like the natural form of what they give in the hospital, pitocin, that makes labor progress. So when the dad is like kissing and even saying nice words, it produces oxytocin that allows labor to progress naturally, right? And efficiently. I think the grandmother, believe it or not, a lot of times we're like, oh, I don't want my mom there. But I've had people be like, somebody get my mom. Like, I feel like the grandmother, especially a praying grandmother,
Okay.
like that connection, that ancestral matriline that's there, that's a very powerful, if she's not like a, if it's not like a toxic relationship, I think that's a very powerful presence. And then a doula as well. She's like an emotional support person. And on my team, I usually have a student or an assistant as well, and or an assistant.
Wonderful. Okay, now you're making it a little difficult for me, making it personal. People on the People's Podcast who we are family, they know that that is one of my biggest. I'm not afraid of anything outside of God by the grace of Allah. However, being in the room with a woman giving birth is just based off what I've seen, based off what I heard. I'm a little there's a little trepidation there. What advice would you give to men who think like me and or feel like me who just don't want to be at the bottom and you seeing it and placentas and all that stuff is just everywhere. How can I? How? What advice would you give to people like to give it to me, and then other people will watch and will understand about giving, the male role as far as being like you said in the room, you said Pitocin. So just kiss her on the forehead, put music on, like what, how can I make that easier?
Well, have you ever heard of the acronym for fear? Fear, FEAR.
False evidence appearing to be real.
Yes. Yeah, or even false expectations appearing to be
Okay.
real. So your expectation right now, like what you're anticipating, is more of what you're afraid of than the reality of what's happening, right? Or what would be happening. So just like if you were a mom, like first ground yourself in the reality of what's happening, is that I'm welcoming my baby in the safety of this space that I've created and curated for us. But in a practical sense, I think attending her visits, whether she's planning to birth at the hospital or at home, go to all of the visits and ask lots of questions, right? I think that's going to make you a partner in the experience itself. Is going to give you a lot of information because most fear comes from a lack of information, lack of knowledge, what you don't know. Also, watching videos, like watching birth videos, will help you to kind of prime yourself, but I think instinctively that fear starts to go away once you're in that moment and you're called upon to be present. Doing
Okay. Okay.
this too.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Now, um, let us know about the water, right? So as a man, I'm being very practical. Some people see it as beauty and like it's just flowers and all that. Based on what I seen up your Instagram, you just in the pool. Does the man, do I get around? Because I saw one brother, he in there, he behind her, rubbing the back, like he all in it, you know what I'm saying? Or can I be cool and be in the corner, like what I'm saying, still supporting, but do I got to get in the water, the pool with it?
No, you don't have to get in the water.
Okay, okay, okay.
No, no, you don't have to. That's definitely
Yeah.
a personal decision.
All right. What advice do you give to the mothers, future mothers, who want to know the value of a midwife and why they should have it?
Yeah, I think, well, first, you have to know what birth is. Birth is a physiological, natural experience. It's not a medical experience in and of itself. It's also a spiritual, right, experience. Um, and so you want to treat it that way. Like there's certain things that you don't do in certain places. Like you don't pray in a bathroom. You don't do certain sacred things in unsacred places.
Okay,
You
okay,
wouldn't have intercourse or make the baby in a public place where like lots of people had access to you, because it shuts your body down from its natural processes, and it's just too sacred for that. So once you
okay,
understand that birth is a physiological, spiritual, natural experience, and we expect it to unfold naturally without the need for a lot of intervention, you will understand why a midwife is the best person to be there if that is the case for you. Like if you're not high risk, right? Because a midwife only works with low risk people who are expecting natural deliveries. Because midwives, we um, we honor that part of it. We're experts in what is normal, so we don't over intervene in the process. That being said, if there was something that came up, we also know when it's time to escalate the course of care. And if you're
mm-hmm.
high risk, you can work with a midwife without necessarily the intention of giving birth outside the hospital, to be clear. And a lot of people use both. Like some people, they have a midwife and they also have an OB, depending on what their risk status is. I kind of went all around the place with
No,
that.
no, 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 no. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. Sister Khadija Kareem keeps commenting because she wants you to acknowledge her. Walaikum salam, Sister Khadija
Oh,
Kareem. And she said her
oh,
mother
Sister
had,
Khadijah.
yes, yes. She said
Khadijah's the
her
one
mother
who
had,
hooked us up.
exactly. She said her mother has 9 children and she wants to follow suit. Okay, thank you, Sister Khadija, for that. Um, okay, my next question for you, ma'am, is uh, fear. In the process, have you ever been there been something that went wrong, maybe or not as you planned it, and it made your heart start beating fast? How do you handle when something goes unexpected?
Yeah, I've had fear before, definitely. Well, I would say this. I am very confident in my ability to handle normal complications in birth. So, I tend to just ground myself. Like a lot of people tell me that when there's a complication, they don't know through me that there's a complication. It's usually afterwards that they realize. But I usually just try to ground myself and I have my protocols already in my head of what I do for any given scenario. Like if a shoulder gets stuck, we had a sister in the nation when her baby the baby's shoulder got stuck under the pelvis and I literally had to go in and turn the baby to bring the baby out or something like a hemorrhage, like if someone is bleeding too much, obviously that's a very high energy complication that you have to respond to quickly. That can definitely make the provider's heart race as well. So confidence in my ability and being prepared is what grounds me. And I pray before every birth, and I call
Oh,
the person's name in my prayer.
wonderful, yes, ma'am. And I'm glad you're calling the prayer and you're helping me and helping us while you're doing this. Sister Khadija Kareem says she is super confident and super chill. You're the reason that she wants to have so many more children. Walaikum salam. Sister Miriam, thank you very much. And all of the sisters and brothers who are watching all around the world. Thank you to Sister Auntie, Sister Hope, Sister Nicole, Brother Musa, Kente, everybody who's showing love around the world. Where are you located, ma'am? That do you have a practice or do you go to other people? Do they call you or how does that work?
My office is in Bala Cynwyd. That's where I do my prenatal visits.
Okay.
And are you familiar with, you're in Atlanta.
Yes, ma'am.
So Bala Cynwyd is like a suburb of Philly. It's where Kobe Bryant is from.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So my children actually go to his old high school, Lower Marion. But
Lower Marion. Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
But it
I'm
would
wait.
be go ahead.
Now I'm saying I'm someone who collects jerseys, and I'm waiting to get a Lower Marion jersey because when he passed, everybody just got them. So maybe not want to get them because everybody had the Lower Marion jersey. But I think enough time is gone so I can get a Kobe Lower
Oh
Marion
yeah. You
yeah
get it.
jersey.
If I find one, I'm gonna send it to you. If
Oh,
I
thank you very much.
Yeah, so I'm in Lower Marion is part of Greater Philadelphia. So to keep it easy, I usually just say Philly.
Okay, okay. Let's stay right there. Why do you feel there's a need for you to work in Philadelphia and the Pennsylvania, like the urban areas in the inner city, working with our people when with your skill set you may be able to stay just in Lower Marion in the suburbs? Why do you say you want to work in the inner city with the people?
That's kind of a leading question. It's a little loaded because um I work with people from all over. I even work with people in
Okay.
South Jersey. So so people come from all over the place. That's the best way to answer if I'm being real and authentic, right?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
don't I don't have a lot of clients who are in the city proper of like the proper city of
Okay.
Philadelphia,
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
like considered the inner city. And the reason for that is because the way that we work, um, our kind of service isn't always accessible in the communities where it's needed the most, right? Which is a different problem. It's a different conversation. Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm happy to have that conversation, but there are some access issues to midwifery care in the cities and in urban environments because of socioeconomic reasons. But I do offer, sliding scales and I have vouchers. We even have a birth fund where we've been able to, fully cover midwifery services for people who aren't able to afford it. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Wonderful. Now, is there a confidentiality situation? Let's say got someone in Lower Marion reach out to you, then I get someone in West Philadelphia and you like, hey, I delivered your like how do you make like is there something where you make sure that nobody it's all confidential when people come to you?
No, I mean, like we're a community.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, like we have meetups. Is that what you mean? Like the moms themselves?
Yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am.
Oh no, we're a big family, and I want to be
Okay.
very clear that when I say that like community, I still mean the black community, but from all
Okay.
over
Okay.
Philadelphia. My priority is my community, right?
Hmm.
And they live all over the place, just not in the city of Philadelphia. Just to
That's what I meant. So I'm like, okay, so you said earlier you were very adamant about a savior being born, the black woman, the womb, and things of this nature. Do you think there's something against that that makes you have to do that? Is what I'm asking. Like, you know what I'm saying? Well, like you like it's a savior being born. You want to make sure that you're there. You think there's something working against their savior being born in Philadelphia or in the Lower Merion
Ah,
areas?
I see what you're asking me now. Definitely. Like we live in the conditions, like they say that the conditions is what produces the person who will bring us out of it, right? And
Yes, ma'am.
that
Yes,
doesn't
ma'am.
have to that doesn't always have to be on a grand scale because you don't know who that child is going to be. And the conditions that we're in, we definitely need saviors in all forms and wonderful people. And I think how the mother experiences her childbirth has a great deal to how that child's life unfolds, how they engage that child. And there's a lot that we're up against. We're chronically love deprived as a people, just to keep it
Hmm.
simple. Just like, you know, the intention of how we give birth is the first act of love, in my opinion. And it's the first act of peace. If you can have that be a peaceful experience, without violence.
We stand right there. Love deprived. That's what I want. My next question for you. Walaikum salam, Sister Miriam. The way she accesses the situation and moves out. Wow, this is green. Let's hope. Walaikum salam, sir. Sister Nia. Walaikum salam, family, and thank you to everybody who's watching all around the world. We have a
Was that
brief
Sister
60.
Miriam? Was that sister the same Sister Miriam who I was talking about earlier?
I don't. This is my biological sister, Miriam.
Oh, oh.
Okay, yes, ma'am. I mean, you know a lot of sisters, you know what I'm saying? But no, this is my blood sister,
Oh.
Mimi. And 1 second, we have a brief 60-second commercial break for all of the sponsors of People's Podcast. We are grateful for every like, share, subscription, anonymous cash app, super chat. Thank you all very much. 1 second, we're coming right back to our sister. Reach out if you need any of that. Sister Naima, Stay on Point Dance Academy. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country. Sister Miriam, ABC I Love Me children's book and coloring book. My father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ. My two books, Cleopatra, which is a children's book, and No Father, No Excuse, both of which are available on Amazon. Thank you all very much. And everybody who's watching, please let us know what city you all are watching and tapping in from, because I know it's going to be a lot of East Coast love because of our sister out of the Philadelphia area who's watching. Okay, now, um, men, what advice would you give to men, not just about being in the room, but you said go to all the visits, but about our understanding of the birthing process? Like how much do we need to know, and how much do we not need to like does it matter? Can we just be there, or do we got to read books and read like how much should we know?
I mean, you should know everything. You should know everything. You should know everything. There's a really good book called The Birth Partner by Penny Simkin that I think that is a great guide for dads to have. We don't have a ton of literature that caters to our community, and I think that's something that we need to develop. But I think that's a really good kind of just general guide to what you can do to support um, during pregnancy and labor. I think men need to be very aware of the emotional changes that women are experiencing, right? Because you're going to learn all the stuff through the visits, but like, what is she actually experiencing? She's the host parent of the child, but you're the parent as well. And you have a bond to that baby that you have to maintain while it's gestating, and you need to understand the changes that she's going through. I think one of the number one complaints that I've heard if I hear about like partner issues is that she feels like she's not being attended to emotionally, like he's withdrawn. And that kind of carries over into labor. Like I've seen some dads just kind of stay in a corner because they don't know what to do, they freeze. But you need to really be an active participant in the pregnancy and in the labor and in the postpartum and in the course of the child's life, and every step of the way you need to be there. So just being sensitive to what she's experiencing. She has a lot of hormonal changes as the baby grows and experiences growth spurts while they're growing, while the baby is growing. So, be sensitive to that. Foot rubs, kind words, date nights, reminding her that she's beautiful, exposing her to beautiful things, taking her on walks, making sure that she is having the proper foods in the house. So, staying a good provider and, you know, doing all of the things, covering all your bases.
So be a
Also, I'll
Superman,
say
basically.
this, and last thing I'll say is also to take care of yourself, dads, because um, you know, I think it's easy to neglect that the dads can be stressed out too because the moms are experiencing a change. Like you're gonna have your first child. That's a significant transition for you as well. So you have to maintain yourself. And I always tell dads, I'm not a man, but I know that y'all have a lot of testosterone. And for you not to have mood swings and so you can be present, you need to have time to yourself with your brotherhood. You need to stay active, do your boxing, do your fitness, get that out somewhere else so that you can come home and really be present and not have that built up tension in the home.
Absolutely. Okay. This is great. And thank you to everybody. So many comments, people going off. Bridgeport, Connecticut. Salute, peace, Philadelphia. Thank you, Brother Sean. Personal dysfunction equates to internal combustion. Thank you, Joseph James. Emotional change, understand before birth. People are just bear witness. Okay, so I wanted to ask you, Sister Khadija Kareem, she's been on the podcast many times, and she talks about one of her favorite shows being television series Friends. And on that television series, they had some contractions where the man uh, experience like whatever Braxton contraction, whatever the word is, the term where the woman was going through something and he started to feel her pain because that's how much he loved her and things of that nature. Is that just for TV or have you ever seen where the man, when she hurts, the man be like, or you know what I'm saying? Is that something or is that just for television?
What did Martin say? That's TV, man. I mean, I've heard of sympathetic symptoms, but nah, not really.
Okay,
Nothing.
okay.
So,
Okay, I just wanted to be clear. Yes, ma'am. Now, also, you said love deprived as a
mm.
community. What is the solution, ma'am?
Oh gosh, if I knew that. I mean, to love yourself first and to practice love, like really practice love intentionally and to, be willing to be vulnerable and to create safety for yourself so that you can experience and share love openly. I can probably only speak to it in regards to birth. And like I said, the first act of birth, or I'm sorry, the first act of love when it comes to birth is is approaching it with intention, not just like, oh, I'm pregnant, I'm gonna just go to the doctor and I'm gonna just eat French fries because that's not an act of love. Love is like your intention to grow this baby to be a healthy human being and where you choose to give birth and who you choose to surround yourself so that you can protect that experience. I think that's a strong act of love. And I think the love deprivation in that is because when we lose that intention, that's when we get the consequences of being neglected, not being heard, not being seen, being victims of obstetric violence. Um, just like our needs, our requests, our values not being honored. And it just kind of like, and when you have that kind of trauma, you start to have resentment. You have resentment about your birth, not necessarily about your child, but you kind of lose that magic and the connection when you feel resentment around what happened to you during the time that you were giving birth. You know, it really cuts both ways. Like it can have exponential benefits in either direction.
Very well put. And people are showing you love around the world. Thank you all to everybody who's tapping in. Um, Sister Khadija Kareem saying she's seen men gain weight during a pregnancy, get cravings, and even vomit. Oh, so Khadija Kareem, she's standing by friends. She needs more than TV.
No, no, I think there's
Yeah.
sympathetic symptoms. I don't know about contractions though, but
um, she says Sister Asaya, Sister Asasiya
Asasiya.
is very dedicated. Brother Let's Hope says Sister Asasiya is the truth. Yes, she is. The young Eric Harris says this young sister is sharp. All praises to Allah. See, people love, showing you number love. Okay, I wanted to ask you about, let's stay right there, the cravings, right? So I recently speaking to a woman and she was telling me that when she was giving, when she was pregnant, she wanted to eat corn syrup, right?
Corn
Like
syrup,
corn, yeah, like I
corn
mean
starch.
corn starch, right? And she was like, she would just be eating it like crazy, and I was like, you just She was like, she don't know how to explain it. It's just something that happened. That was her thing. One of my sisters said it was hot wings, and she had gave up chicken, but now it's something about the spiciness of the sauce or something. Everybody has something different. How do you handle the cravings? Should I be worried if I guess someone else, my wife, she's pregnant, and she's like, she just starts craving cornstarch. Like, how do you handle that? Is that
Well,
normal?
it's not abnormal, it's common, but there's a reason for it. So the cravings is your body telling you that you need something.
Mm.
So people crave cornstarch, they crave ice, they crave chalk, they crave dirt, they crave all kinds of things
They eat to
because
eat the dirt.
it's like yeah, but they can't explain it. Like not really like dirt, but it's like clay, like that kind of thing. Because it's the mineral that their body is just kind of instinctively picking up on that they need. So in cornstarch might have a certain nutrient that their body needs, but it's a sign of mineral deficiency when you have cravings. The most common deficiency that people have is iron, and so most people crave ice as a result of iron deficiency. People sometimes crave baking soda. Some people crave things that are not non-food items, which is more common, like pickles, um, or other things. Like some people who didn't eat meat before, they start eating meat because their body needs protein. So it's
Okay,
like you need to
okay.
pay attention to it as a sign of something. It's not like, oh, that's cute and fun and weird. Like, oh no, your body is speaking to you. Like you need minerals. You probably need a multivitamin. You probably need to take in more, vegetables, more fruits.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Now, so what would you tell me? I get married, and my wife says she wants to go outside, and she's in the garden just eating dirt. What do I? How should I look at that when I see her eat dirt?
You say, well, first of all, you need to look at what she's been eating. Is she eating navy bean soup? Is she having,
Okay,
is she eating her beets and also she might need a good prenatal vitamin. That's usually a good way to supplement is to take a
okay.
prenatal vitamin in whatever form you prefer. It could be liquid, it could be a capsule, but the prenatal vitamins, they kind of cover your bases on things that you're missing and often take away those cravings. Yeah, if someone has a dirt craving or clay craving, they definitely need to assess their diet. And that's one thing that we do in prenatal visits. So after the first visit, I ask people to bring me a diet diary. So I look at everything they've eaten, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, beverages, and then I'll kind of assess it like how many healthy fats are they taking in? Like are they taking in avocado, olive oil? Are they taking in good healthy gut healthy foods like yogurts, sauerkraut? Are they eating enough protein? Are they eating enough vegetables? Are they taking enough water? What are they drinking? And then I just tweak it for them until they start to, feel differently.
Praise be so alive. Beautiful. Brother Duke Eatman said he loves it. Sister Nia says she ate chalk during her first pregnancy. Um, and Sister Khadija Kareem said she was seeing clients between our drill practices. You drill?
I did.
I didn't know you drilled. Okay, praise be to Allah. Yes. And then Sister Khadija Kareem is talking about how she had a dirt thing too, where she was eating dirt. Shout out to Sister Khadijah's children too. Nothing but love for them. Hopefully she didn't eat too much dirt while she was pregnant with y'all. All right. Now I wanted to ask you, Sister Asasiya, about you saying you fixed the shoulder, right? You just go, boom, fix the shoulder. It was it's complication. You just went in and fixed it, right? It have you seen men be able to do that? Like if you're not there, like what should we do? Just call 911 or we just go what we know? What are your suggestions on trying to do something while you're on the way?
Well, I always say if a baby is coming that fast where the midwife can't make it, that baby is not going to have a problem coming out.
Okay.
If a shoulder is going to get stuck, it's going to take a while for, even before the head comes out. That I don't want to get too clinical and all that stuff, but just know that if a baby is coming that fast, that baby is more than likely a-okay. So I wouldn't expect the dad to have to do that. But what it is that so if this is your pubic bone, once the head comes out, so let's say the head is out, can you see this? And then this is the
Okay.
shoulder. The shoulder just, oh, I can't really do this well. The shoulder just gets kind of stuck right behind this pubic bone. And so what we like is that when the head comes out, that the head turns and then it kind of just slips under. But instead of it doing that, it just gets stuck. And so the midwife has to position the mom differently, or literally manually turn the baby so that the shoulder can slip under. That's not something that I would think a dad would have to do. You've
Beautiful.
been
Praise
in
be
the
so.
hospital with your provider well before that.
Okay, we are learning. We're all learning through this podcast. Oh, she said, sister, wait, contractions of a woman is timely. She may feel, oh, this is the one. And again, oh, this is time, but this is like waiting for the Lord. Thank you. Let's hope. Sister Khadija Kareem says she saw her food logs. They were good. And that you delivered Issa. Hey, okay, I didn't know you delivered the baby. Okay, shout out to Issa. All right, she said you delivered the baby. Okay, my next question is postpartum. So it's a term that I am new to. I don't know how many other men out there are new, but my mother had 4 children. I didn't know what was going on or if she experienced that or my sister. I just didn't know. But TikTok, social media made it very common for women to share their stories and say, this is what we go through after the baby. Um, what advice would you give to women during that, but also men who are looking and saying, what can I do when she's feeling this way after the baby?
Yeah, so there are different degrees of that. And I know postpartum is used kind of generically to describe postpartum mood disorders, not necessarily the postpartum period. And so you're describing like when someone feels bluesy, weepy, upset, kind of depressed, and that's kind of on a spectrum. The normal, what we consider like a normal postpartum or postpartum blues is just like your hormones kind of recalibrating. Um, that you might feel weepy, you might feel a sense of grief, and that should naturally resolve over time. There are certain herbs that you can take to help kind of balance your hormones as they change. When we get concerned about postpartum is when it goes beyond 2 weeks, and maybe mom is like, if you were the dad, if you were seeing that she wasn't wanting to bond with the baby, or like she kept putting the baby down or she was crying, um that would be a sign of a problem. And so it's important to get screened for that. The provider often screens for it by asking a
Okay.
certain questions to see how she's feeling. And depending on the score is how you determine whether or not she's at risk for actual postpartum depression. And so beforehand, sometimes in the visits, we'll tell people like identify people, places, and things that you can do if you start to feel down, and to always be honest with yourself. Like it doesn't make you a bad mom if you do feel down or if you don't want to bond with your baby. It's something that you have to acknowledge that you can get help with. And dad, you need to also pay attention to those signs that she might be experiencing that. And we're not stigmatizing therapy, but that's a real thing. There's also very culturally responsive postpartum therapy, you know, and like I said, herbs. Also, if she had a traumatic birth, that could cause her risk for postpartum. But yeah, nutrition as well. Staying on top of all of those things.
Thank you so a lot. Okay, great. We're excited and this is beautiful. Sister Khadija Kareem is saying postpartum is a monster. His brother believe it. Sister Asasiya has set you up with the plan for the 4th trimester so that you have a team that can help you to minimize postpartum issues. Thank you, Sister Khadija Kareem. My goodness, she
Lisa
just
Kareem is
team.
like my she man, thank you.
Yeah, she's out. I'm telling you, she probably called me or texted me at least once a week leading up to this interview. Like she was like, I got this sister, I got this sister, I got this sister. You got to get
Oh,
around for
that's
that.
so sweet of her. Thank you, sister.
Yes, ma'am. Now we want to ask the most serious question that I ask all of my guests on People's Podcast of the night is, what is your favorite album of all time, Sister Asasiya?
Let me see if I see it on your wall.
Probably not.
Oh, my number one favorite What's the criteria? Like what how do
Just
you
like something with no skips that you can put on, and this is like your Spotify on the way to work. No matter what happens, this is your go-to. Like this is what it represents. Like, oh yeah, Society always plays that in her workspace or home. Your children looking like, oh, that's mom's album. You know, we know what it is. That's mom's album.
Okay. The what I think is critically probably the best album is The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
I knew you were going to say that.
My
Okay.
favorite album, one that I actually listen to, is The Real Thing by SZA, who I don't know if
Okay.
you
The
know
real
him?
thing. No, the Jamaican artist, the Jamaican artist
Yes,
person. Okay,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, that I probably listen to SZA the most and Bob Marley. But
Okay.
I think critically, just as an album, as a body of work, I think the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill deserved that title. And she's great. And I actually, fun fact, I actually delivered, the song to Zion.
Uh-huh.
I caught his baby. Yeah.
What with that?
What was that? Your sound went out.
I said you could have led with that fun fact. Like you could have told us, like, oh yeah, by the way,
Yeah, and I wasn't even thinking about that when I was saying it. I actually just love Lauryn Hill. So yeah.
okay, that's magnificent. Did you get to meet her?
She was there.
Oh, she was what? Was she
Yeah,
was she was she stern? She seemed a little serious on camera. Was she
very
stern?
stern. She was very protective of the space, but I think that by the end she was fine. She was lovely, but she was very stern.
Okay, yeah, that's how she comes off. Very much Miss Lauryn Hill, beautiful.
It's Lauryn
All right, and
Hill.
wait, what's Sizzla's famous song? Because I'm like reggae. I'm like, yo, I heard that name. What's
He
like the
probably
main?
heard Solid as a Rock. Uh,
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
I'm not even gonna try to sing it and embarrass myself. If you heard it, you would know it. It was like really big in like, like the early 2000s. I don't know how old you are, but in the early 2000s. Um, yeah. He's a,
Can you give us the melody? Can you give us a melody? Give us something.
you better YouTube it.
Okay, Sizzla,
Hold on,
so
hold on,
I,
hold on. Let me see. I can help you out. Hold on. You can keep chatting. I'm gonna pull it up for
yes,
you.
ma'am. Since Khadija Kareem is the most common, she said she told me she's being very modest. She sees a part two in the making. This is her dream come true to see Sis Asasiya on the People's Podcast, the People's Midwife with the People's Podcast is all she hoped for. Thank you, Sister Khadija. Brother Michael Muhammad Mas number 80. Thank you for showing love as well.
Let's see. Can you hear this?
I'm not
Can
hearing
you hear?
anything.
You never heard it before?
I
Wait.
can't hear it. We can't hear it.
Oh, where's my speaker? Can you hear it? No? He's vocalist. Well, maybe you haven't heard it. Well, I'll
No, no, not familiar with. I've heard the name, but not familiar with the music.
very
Um,
inspirational.
okay, well that's beautiful. I my the reggae that was popular with mine was more crossover.
Sean Paul.
Sean Paul and Benny Man and them girls, them sugar, them girls they'll work like like
Oh,
Maya and all that.
I really
Take
love your music wall. I'm a music fan too. I don't have it, those are not albums, but these are some of my heroes. Bob Marley,
okay.
Outkast, Tribe Called Quest.
Oh, okay. So you say Tribe Called Quest, then you and Khadija Kareem that same time period, Tribe Called Quest and stuff like that. Okay, okay.
Mhm.
I'm on a world tour with Muhammad, my man. Boom, there you go. Uh, Nita Applebaum, I'm trying to put you. There we are. All right. Um,
I
our
love that
next
you're a
question.
music fan. I am as well, so that's
Yes,
great.
ma'am. Oh, that's all. That's my language. That's the language I speak. Music and
Really?
movies.
Oh man, we should know. We need to do music next.
See, I told you, Khadija Kareem, stop taking so long to reach out to you. Okay. Since Khadija Kareem said she wish she was on the podcast as well. Thank you very much. All right. So I wanted to ask you, ma'am, for our last question, can we put you on a hot seat? Can we get a part two scheduled off air? But can you come back and share some more information and inspiration to the People's Podcast?
Oh, sure, anytime.
Praise be to Allah.
Anytime.
Wonderful. Yes, ma'am. Once again, where can we find you on Instagram?
The People's Midwife. The People's Midwife, standard spelling.
Okay.
Yep.
Excellent. People's Midwife and excellent. Thank you, everybody showing love in the comments. Thank you very much. And Sister Khadija Kareem said she can't wait for it. In fact, she'll call you after this to set it up. Thank you, Sister Khadija Kareem, for your insistence. This has been an honor on behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on. We're signing off. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, man.
Walaikum salam.
Thank you all for